What's up, everyone, and welcome back to a Star Wars news roundup. We haven't done one of these in a while, and the Book of Boba Fett meant that we fell behind on a couple of stories, especially the big one that broke right as the Book of Boba Fett was ending, which is the release date for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the new limited series from Lucasfilm, will debut May 25th exclusively on Disney+. The series stars Ewan McGregor reprising his role as the iconic Jedi Master. The story begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, in which Obi-Wan Kenobi faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice Anakin Skywalker, who turned to the dark side and became the evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. Everyone's gonna hear your little pitter-patters. So yeah, May 25th for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Were you expecting that release date to be dropped so soon?
I was not. First I was expecting it to be May 4th, but no, I was not expecting us to hear about it that quickly.
Yeah, I remember saying, we're going to start hearing about Kenobi shortly after the Book of Boba Fett is done. I was not expecting to hear about it the day the Book of Boba Fett ended, like hours afterwards. It really stressed me out, because I was trying to cover the Book of Boba Fett, and then I was like, I can't do a video about Kenobi right now, so that's why we're doing it late.
Yeah.
Yeah, May 25th. It's the day before Star Wars Celebration starts this year as well.
Which is, I mean, what better way to kick off Star Wars Celebration than to show everyone the first episode?
Yeah, it'll be really fun to be able to talk about that. At first, I was like, how dare they do this and like make us really busy right before we leave? But then I was like, oh, I wanted the series to start on May 4th. We would have been busy regardless. So It is the first episode kicking everything off. Do you think they're going to do anything with Kenobi at Celebration?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they'll have a big panel, and I suspect there will be some sort of sizzle reel that they would show. That's all I can think of.
I mean, there's so much to talk about at Celebration that I'm like, is Kenobi going to get its own panel, or will it just be part of a Disney Plus thing? Or are they going to not talk about Kenobi because it's like, it's already out, and we have future stuff? Which, that seems unlikely.
Because everyone will have seen the first episode, so then Hayden and Ewan can, like, talk openly about what it was like to get back into the role.
Yeah.
And, you know, specific stuff from that first episode, and then give little hints about how the season will play out.
Right. It feels like they'll have Ewan and Hayden at Celebration to do exactly that. I'm just like, there's not enough time to cover everything.
There's no time.
There's never enough time. But the second story I wanted to talk about is from the Ahsoka series. Ray Stevenson is going from sailing the oceans to sailing the spaceways. The actor who last appeared on History Channel's Vikings has joined Ahsoka, the next Star Wars live-action series gearing up to go into production at Lucasfilm and Disney+. It's unclear who Stevenson will play, but sources say he is a villain in the series and will play an admiral, although not Thrawn. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter. It's interesting because Stevenson is not new to Star Wars. He voiced Gar Saxon in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. That character has perished in Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm. Are they going to bring him back?
Right. It's like, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's dead. He could have been revived somehow, dragged off into a bacta tank, and then he had a series of flashbacks. But he was like a Mandalorian super commando, so I don't know that he would be an admiral in the Imperial Remnant. That seems kind of odd.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't really line up for a continuation of that character's story.
Yeah. But the idea that I've seen thrown around that I do like is Pelion, he was a captain in Legends, at least at first. Pelion was kind of Thrawn's right-hand man. The Watson to his Sherlock Holmes. Basically the stand-in for the audience, so that Thrawn had somebody to explain all of his brilliant plans to, and Pelion could just go like, wow!
So he's not constantly talking to himself or like, dear diary,
right?
Here's my plan. But is Pelion just like his hype man on the side?
I guess a bit.
His little side piece.
Sure. I don't think I'd call him that, but yeah, little hype man on the side. But I would call Stevenson anything but little. He's a pretty big dude.
Yeah.
But I think he'd make a good Pelion. And, they say he's an admiral. That could just be a crossing of wires on the Hollywood Reporter where they know he's an Imperial officer or something. Or maybe Pelion got a promotion early for this story. We don't know.
Or they're lying to us, and that is Thrawn.
I think he'd make an okay Thrawn, but I'm
then
all
they would have called it Grand Admiral.
Right. I'm all in on Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn. I'm hopeful that that's the case. I don't think Hollywood Reporter is lying about what they've heard, but yeah, this is under kind of leaked territory. It's the Hollywood Reporter, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little
They've
more
been
reliable.
wrong before.
Yeah, they have been wrong before. But they are also the people that were reporting on Timothy Oliphant and Rosario Dawson back before season 2 of The Mandalorian. So I think this is safe to say. And I don't know. I guess I hope it's Pelion, but I'm down for whatever.
I also hope it's Pelion, just because that's what fans seem to want.
He was mentioned in Star Wars Rebels, so the name has been dropped. He was with Thrawn when they all got yanked into who knows where by the Purrgil. Mm-hmm. So the pieces are there.
Yeah.
They just need to be set. But our last story is heading over to book news. StarWars.com is thrilled to reveal Star Wars: The Princess and the Scoundrel, a new novel from author Beth Revis, arriving this summer. Set just after the events of Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, the story begins on the forest moon of Endor, where Han proposes an elation of the rebel victory against the Empire. After a ceremony at the site of the victory celebration at the end of the film, the newlyweds depart for a honeymoon aboard the Halcyon Starcruiser, the luxury vessel at the heart of the new Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser experience at Disney World Resort. In their most desperate hour, with the war still raging but the Empire nearing its last gasp, the couple must outwit the Imperial remnants clinging to power. The novel will release on August 16th, 2022. So this caused a bit of a kerfuffle online because of the whole Halcyon Starcruiser connection, which I agree. Like, Molly came in and told me about it, and I was just like, ugh.
It made me roll my eyes for sure. It didn't make me angry. But I was kind of like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, that's just one of those things where it's like, clearly this is corporate synergy at work, where I think someone at Disney was like, we want to promote the Halcyon legacy and the Starcruiser. It's just like they did with Galaxy's Edge when it was opening, because it got a comic by Ethan Sachs and a book by Delilah Dawson. Mm-hmm. I really, really liked the book.
Me too.
And now Ethan Sachs is doing a Halcyon Legacy comic as well. And I liked the Galaxy's Edge comic well enough that there's only one issue of the next one out. But I don't know. It definitely colors my opinion when I'm like, this is clearly an advertisement disguised as a story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have faith in Beth Revis because Rebel Rising was really good.
Yes.
And so I'm really excited to see her tell this story. It does make me a little sad that they were probably like, okay, this is where they have to go for their honeymoon. Like, you have to write this into your story. So to me, it's kind of like steering writers in a certain direction that they may not want to write about. But I have faith that the rest of the story will be great. And yeah, I loved Black Spire. Delilah Dawson is a great storyteller.
That's what I keep telling myself, is that, like, it's the same situation where they 100% were like, hey, Delilah Dawson, we're going to use Vi Moradi in our park. We want you to write your character in the park on Batuu. And it's very much like this is a story taking place at Galaxy's Edge where you can visit soon. But Delilah Dawson wrote a really, really good story that I liked a lot. So just because this is the jumping off point doesn't mean it's going to be bad automatically. I think it probably will be good. Again, like Molly said, I loved Rebel Rising. That was one of the more brutal Star Wars books I remember reading, with all the Saw Gerrera stuff. So I think she's gonna do a good job with this. I just hope that she works the Halcyon into it in a natural and fun way, Like, maybe Han is just miserable the whole time having to be on a Star Cruiser like this.
That was mainly the thing that made me roll my eyes, not just the corporate synergy of it all, but I was like, would Han and Leia go on this massive Star Cruiser for their honeymoon? I was like, does that make sense in my head for these characters? But that would just be my headcanon.
Especially in the midst of a war. Like, the war's not over. We still have a year to go, and they're gonna hop on this Star Cruiser. Like, I have faith that Beth is going to write all of this into it. I'm sure she had those same thoughts and was like, okay, here are the questions I need to answer.
I have a tinfoil hat theory. I'm going to say that Han got the Star Wars version of a Groupon for this Star Cruiser, and the whole time they're going to bicker about it and whether or not it was worth it.
Maybe that's why he proposed. Is like he's been sitting on these vacation tickets for forever.
He's got a timeshare.
Like, yeah. And he's like, if I propose, maybe I can finally use them. That would be funny if there was some kind of scam involved. Like, yeah. You can find a good reason to get them there. It's going to have to be good enough to beat out the whole, like, just that voice in the back of my head where it's like, this is a commercial. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. And I wanted to talk about some more books because The Art of the High Republic by Kristen Baver was announced, along with the titles of several Phase 2 books in the High Republic: Path of Deceit by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, Quest for the Hidden City by George Mann, Convergence by Zoraida Cordova, and Quest of the Jedi, a comic by Claudia Gray. And those are just the titles that are announced. We still know that Daniel Jose Older and Charles Soule and Cavan Scott are all continuing to work in the era. But I am psyched for just looking ahead into Phase 2. We're almost done with Phase 1, and I love that we're getting an art of book because we've been seeing so much concept art come out of this project. Yeah,
ever since they announced the whole High Republic stuff, like the art has looked so good, and I've been like, man, they got to do something with the designs that they're throwing out for this, and yeah, just really happy for Kristen Baver and getting a book for it.
And not just for the art, but, you know, these books have always had a lot of behind the scenes kind of stories and developments. They're like making of books mixed with all of the art that comes with it.
Really fun to read and just kind of like get an idea of the process behind developing these characters and stories.
Yeah, we just got The Art of the Mandalorian Season 2. We need to dive into that. But yeah, I'm just always going to be excited for more High Republic news, but that is it for this week's news roundup. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.